Everyone, I hope I'm audible. Just a quick check. Am I audible now? Correct. Thank you so much for responding. Right. So today we'll talk about past year questions of ratio proportion. Now, ratio proportion is something which is a very, very important topic. Why it is important? Nothing but because of its weightage in the exam. You talk about direct question, they give you a question in the exam. Similarly, when you talk about data interpretation, there also you apply the concept of ratios along with the percentage to make your task easy. Similarly, when you talk about questions which are based on time speed distance, questions which are based on mixed allegation. Similarly, when you talk about questions which are based on geometry, there also you'll be applying the ratios. So overall, I would say it's a very, very important topic. So therefore, it makes all the more sense to be very good at it, right? What we will do is nothing but we will talk about questions which came in the earlier CAT papers. Now, the purpose is not to show you the magic when it comes to solving a question is concerned. It's just talking about how the question can be asked and what is the process of thinking so that you will be able to get an answer in a shorter span of time, and thereby you will have more time for looking at the other question. When you talk about CAT 2025, the CAT which has just happened, somebody who was able to solve 3 correct answer out of 22 was able to get close to 80 percentile. So 3 out of 22, that means only 3, which is close to 10%, slightly more than that, right? So therefore, what we'll do is nothing but I'll show you some of the question which came in CAT 25, 24, before that also, just to showcase that every year we've got a question. Every year questions are doable. It's just that you need to understand, you need to look at what the data is, and then you have to solve it, right? So that's got to be the just a sec. I think there is some issue in that. Let me just do this. Okay. Now let's look at this question. The question that came in CAT 2019. Again, the question is not tough, it's just about understanding it. When you read the question, it says the salaries of Ramesh, Ganesh, and Rajesh were in the ratio 6:5:7 in 2010. So the ratio is given in 2010. And in the ratio 3:4:3 in 2015. If the Ramesh salary increased by 25% during 2010 to 2015, then the percentage increase in the Rajesh salary during this period is closest to. So I'm just waiting for you people to just spend around maybe 20 odd seconds to understand the question, and then I'll be solving it in front of you only, right? Take 20 seconds, 20 more seconds, just read the question, try and
just wanted to confirm once again, am I audible or not? Because I think my voice is not reaching. Kindly confirm that. Am I audible? Rishita, Karthik, everyone, guys. Just wanted to confirm once again, am I audible or not? Because I think my voice is not reaching. Kindly confirm that. Am I audible? Rishita, Karthik, everyone, guys. Just want to confirm once again, am I audible or not? Because I think my voice is not reaching.
okay, now let me do this now. Thanks for confirming. Let me do this question now. It says the salaries of Ramesh, Ganesh, and Rajesh were in the ratio 6 is to 5 is to 7. That is in 2010. While it is in the ratio 3:4:3 in 2015. Now they're saying that Ramesh's salary is increased by 25% and I need to identify what is the percentage increase in the salary of Rajesh. Now, one way of looking at it could be nothing but whenever you come across a ratio, the layman approach says that assume this to be 6x, this to be 5x, and this to be 7x because I know the ratio is given. Now, once I'm able to know that Ramesh's salary increases by 25%, so I know if earlier it was 6x, there has to be an increase of 25% in that. And 25% of 6x is going to be 1/4 of 6x, which is nothing but 1.5x. Can I say with that increase, the Ramesh salary will become 7.5x? Now, I don't know what is the increase in the Ganesh or a Rajesh, but I know after the increase, the ratio becomes this. If the ratio becomes this, and if you carefully observe, ratio of salary of Ramesh and Rajesh is actually 3:3, which is same. That means if the salary of Ramesh is 7.5x, so therefore salary of Rajesh has to be 7.5x. Can I say so or not? And since it is also 7.5x, so earlier it was 7x, now it will become 7.5x. Now the question says, how much is the percentage increase? Now, when you say right from 7 to 7.5, so the increase is going to be nothing but 0.5x. And that increase is with respect to the base, which is 7x into 100. And the moment I say this, it is equal to nothing but 0.5 upon 7, which is 1/14, and 1/14 is equals to 7.14%. To be precise, but the question says closest to. So if I have to look at 7.14 closest to what, it is going to be nothing but closest to option number 2. This is my answer. So the level of difficulty is not high. It's just that question is designed in such a way such that if you pen down the data and try and identify how much it increased, we'll be able to just identify. And the catch was nothing but in 2015, the salary of Rajesh and Ramesh is same. And once I know it is same, I can straight away do that. Right? Okay. So this is one basic way where we can do it. We can also go ahead and do this question by applying an approach where I will be just looking at the number, because we know that when it comes to ratios, the beautiful part in that is going to be nothing but when you multiply ratio by any number on both the side, answer does not change. And since answer does not change, so therefore we'll take the liberty of that and we'll use that concept. Now, what do I mean by that? Now, look at this very carefully. If I say, and I have to go with that approach, just look at this. Let me just write it here. I know the ratio which is already given is 6:5:7 for Ramesh, Ganesh, and Rajesh. Now, since there is an increase of 25%, and I know 25% is 1/4. So I always suggest that during my classes also, the moment I say 1/4, I want a number to be a multiple of 4, so that if I have to increase it by 1/4, the increase is an integral value. That means I want Rajesh's salary, Ramesh's salary, Ganesh's salary, whatever they're mentioning, because there is an increase of 25% in Ramesh's salary. So I want that value to be a multiple of 4. Now, the ratio is given as this. So if I multiply ratio with 2, because I know multiplying ratio with any number doesn't change the value, therefore, it can also be rewritten as 12:10:14. And now, if I assume that their salaries are 12, 10, and 14, there is a 25% rise in the salary of Ramesh. 25% is 1/4, and 1/4 of 12, there is a rise of 3. Hence, this value will become 15. And I know the value for both Ramesh and Rajesh is same. So therefore, automatically by default, I can straight away say this value will also be equal to 15. And now if I say a value has changed from 14 to 15, that means there's a change of 1 on the base of 14, and 1 by 14 reciprocal we know it's going to be nothing but 7.14%, and hence my answer is going to be this. Simple question, no rocket science, just the observation, right? And I'll keep on talking about this multiplying ratio with any number and then solve it, because I know there is no impact on the answer if you multiply the entire ratio by any number. So multiply, divide, doesn't change. But the moment you add or subtract, there is a change. So therefore, we'll never do that. It's just that multiplication and division is something which I need to keep in mind. I hope it's clear with everyone. Right, moving forward now. Look at the second question. Question CAT 2023 slot 3. 2023 slot 3. Again, I want you to read it for almost 30 odd seconds. Try and understand what the question is, and then I will do it. I just want you to read, understand, so that when I explain, you'll be able to gather everything what I'm saying, and we'll try. I mean, that way probably when next time you encounter, you know, okay, this is what I need to think and this I need to do. I just want only 30 seconds. In the meanwhile, I'll also be reading this question for all of you. The question says, Anil mixes cocoa with sugar in the ratio 3:2 to prepare mixture A, and coffee with sugar in the ratio 7:3 to prepare mixture B. He combines mixture A and B in the ratio 2:3 to make a new mixture C. If he mixes C with an equal amount of milk to make a drink, then the percentage of sugar in the drink will be. I hope it's clear what exactly they're saying in the question. Right? So one way to look at it, because what they're saying is nothing but there's one mixture A, there's one mixture B, and it has got some ratio of cocoa with sugar, the other is going to be coffee with sugar. Sugar is same, which is there. I mean, the content is, or the one of the constant is same, which is sugar, and I'm then mixing them in some ratio, which is 2:3, and after that, I'm adding some milk into this to make a drink, and there I'm supposed to identify what is the percentage of sugar in that. Right? Let's try and do step by step, basic approach, and then we'll look out why and how that multiplying with ratios will help me to solve it at a faster pace. But first of all, with a very basic method. Now, let me just write this data. Mixture A is of cocoa and sugar. Mixture B is of coffee and sugar. And they've mentioned that I am mixing them in the ratio 3:2, and this is there in the ratio 7:3. And then these two are mixed in the ratio 2:3. And then finally, equal amount of water is added, milk is added, and then after that, we are supposed to identify percentage of sugar. Right? Now, we know that whenever we are mixing two things, their standalone volumes are not important for me. Important is in what ratio I'm mixing them. So if I'm mixing, let's say, two content with 2 liter and 3 liter, or 4 liter and 6 liter, or 6 and 9, or 2x and 3x, answer will come out to be same, because it's the ratio in which I'm mixing is more important rather than their absolute values. So the basic says, when they say I'm mixing them in the ratio 2:3, what I will say is nothing but, let's take 2 liters of this, or 2 unit of this, or 2 kg of this, and 3 of this. You can say a liter, but then since I'm mixing cocoa and sugar, so you can say 2 kg also. You can say 3 kg also. Either ways. Because that's something which I'm just using it. That's something which is not very important for me. Important nothing but 2 and 3. Now, in the first, which is A, if I talk about cocoa and sugar, is in the ratio 3:2. So that means out of the total 5 parts, 3 parts are cocoa, 2 parts are sugar. So therefore, sugar is 2/5 of the entire weight. And you have taken a weight to be 2 kg. So can I say it will be 2/5 of it will be 2 by 5 of 2 kg is the amount of sugar in the first. And the amount of sugar in the second is going to be 3 by 10 into 3 kg. Because 7 in 3 parts, so sugar is going to be 3. Now, why am I only focusing on sugar? Because they're talking about sugar only. Why would I worry about coffee? Why would I worry about cocoa? Because I'm not worried about that. They're not asking that. Right? So as simple as that. So therefore, sugar in the first is going to be 4 upon 5 kg, while the second is going to be 9 by 10 kg. Now, the moment I mix them, the total amount of sugar is going to be nothing but summation of these two. So if you take the LCM of that, which is 10, so it'll be 8 by 10 plus 9 by 10. That's going to be nothing but 17 by 10. So from here, I got to know the amount of sugar is 1.7 kg, 17 by 10. And the total volume is 2 kg plus 3 kg, which is equal to 5 kg. So the moment I'm mixing them, out of those 5 kg of the mixture, we've got 1.7 kg sugar in that. So step by step, I hope it's clear. Now what it says, this is actually C. In this, we are mixing an equal amount of milk. That means if the volume is 5 kg, I'm mixing 5 kg of milk into this. Sorry. And the moment I'm able to make 5 kg milk into this, so I know the amount of sugar will not change. It's just the total volume will change. And the total volume now will become 10 kg. Out of that, I know milk is going to be nothing but 1.7 kg. Now the question says, what is the percentage of sugar in the entire mixture? Sugar is 1.7 kg, entire mixture is going to be 10 kg. Therefore, if I need to identify 1.7 upon 10 into 100, which is as simple as 17% is my answer. So a question is not tough. It's just that the idea of giving and showing this question is nothing but the question that comes in the exams are doable. People said 2023 was tough. 24 was easy. But this question, I will not say a tough question because it's just the process which is important. If you know what is happening, how you have to go about that, then obviously we can do this. Now, what could be the alternate way? Right? Because, I mean, I'm not saying every question has got an alternate way or a shorter way or something else. But then, if there is, so with practice, we should be able to learn that as well. Now, if I talk about this question only, in the first A, it is cocoa to sugar, and in the B, coffee to sugar, it is 3:2 and it is 7:3. And I'm mixing them in the ratio 2:3. Now just look at this. Now I need to mix A and B in the ratio 2:3. I need to mix A and B in the ratio 2:3. That's what they're saying. Now, how can I do that? Just look at this. First of all, whenever they say we have to mix in certain ratio, sometimes it could be equal quantities also, sometimes it could be any ratio. First thing we'll be doing is nothing but just look at this. 3 plus 2 is 5. 7 plus 3 is 10. Whatever ratio they want you to mix them, first of all, make that value same. That means if one of them is A is to B and the other is C is to D, make them A plus B and C plus D. These values should be same. And I know you multiply ratio with any number, the value or the answer does not change. So therefore, what you'll do is nothing but you'll say 3 plus 2 is 5, 7 plus 3 is 10, 5 and 10, LCM of 5 and 10 is going to be 10. So first of all, my aim will be nothing but I'll make both equal to 10. If there is something else, so we'll try and do the same thing, but here it's going to be make equal to 10. I'll show you one more question where the sum is different, so you'll be able to know that. Here, the first term is a factor of the other, so therefore I get to know that the LCM is going to be nothing but 10. Now, in order to make it 10, I know this is already 10, so therefore in order to make it 10, I will multiply this with 2. So you can just check that in the mind. Next time you will not do it. That when you multiply 2 3s are 6 and 2 2s are 4, it will become 6:4, which is actually 10. Right? So it will become 10. So now first is 10, second is 10. That means the ratio will become 1:1. But I don't want 1:1. What I want is 2:3. So the moment I'm able to make it 1:1, my next step is nothing but whatever ratio that we desire, multiply first with 2 and multiply this with 3. Automatically, you'll see that the ratio will become 2:3. Make that same and then multiply by whatever ratio I require. Now, in that case, if you multiply, it'll be 4 3s are 12 and 4 2s are 8. The first one will become this, which is cocoa is to sugar, which is in A, while in B, it's gonna be 21 is to 9, which is coffee is to sugar. Now, you can just check that for clarification. Next time, you'll not be doing it. 12 plus 8 is 20, while 21 plus 9 is 30. So, 20-30 ratio is 2:3, which I want. That means till here, my first part is done. My job is done. Now, what is the total amount of sugar? 8 and 9. Combining sugar will be 17. This total weight is 20. This total weight is 30. So that means now sugar is 17 out of 50. And what is the total weight? I'm adding same amount of milk into this. Adding same amount of milk will be, that means if earlier it was 50, now again it is 50. So now the total volume will become 100. Whatever unit, I'm not worrying about that. Total volume is 100. Out of those 100, we've got 17 sugar is there. So 100, 17 sugar, 17 out of 100 is going to be nothing but 17%, and hence my answer. So that way, you will be do most of the part mentally also, which I always mention inside the class. When it comes to arithmetic, first of all, look at the question, try and apply your brain, see if you can do it with minimal usage of pen, or maybe some part you can do mentally, and then straight away you'll be able to do this. Please check it and tell me whether it's clear or not. I hope it's clear. Correct. Right, Karthik. Perfectly all right. Good to see your response, and I hope other people are also getting it. Anyone has any doubt whatsoever, please do let me know. I will explain that again. Okay, now moving forward and look at the next question. The question that came in CAT 2025. That means the last year, slot 2. And it was the case, it was the question when, as I mentioned earlier also, you do 3 questions out of 22 and you are there with 80%. I'm not saying you have to get 80 percentile, but what I'm trying to say nothing but 80% of people are not even able to solve 3 questions. So it's all about selection. It's all about knowing the fundamental. It's all about identifying which are the questions which are doable and then just go ahead with that. Now, next question. It says the ratio of expenditures of Lakshmi and Meenakshi is 2:3. The question that came in CAT 25 slot 2, which I also happened to write. I mean, I also was a part. I also took the exam in slot 2 only, right? So the ratio of expenditure of Lakshmi and Meenakshi is 2:3. And the ratio of income of Lakshmi to expenditure of Meenakshi is 6:7. If excess of income over expenditure is saved by Lakshmi and Meenakshi, and the ratio of their saving is 4:9, then the ratio of their income is. So they're talking about income, they're talking about expenditure, they're talking about savings, right? So whenever you come across this question, I'll show you the shorter way also, but pen down the data so that you don't get confused, because sometimes they're talking about income, they're talking about expenditure, and so on and so forth. And whenever there's expenditure, put subscribe at E. If they're saying income, put it I. If they're saying saving, put it S, so that there's no confusion in that. Now, in this question, if I read one by one, again line by line, the ratio of expenditure of Lakshmi and Meenakshi is 2:3. So Lakshmi's expenditure is 2, Meenakshi's expenditure is given as 2:3. The first thing, it's clear. And the ratio of income of Lakshmi to the expenditure of Meenakshi. So income of Lakshmi to the expenditure of Meenakshi is also given as 6:7. So first was expenditure of both. Here it is going to be income of first, expenditure of the other one. If excess of income over expenditure is saved, now basically, which we already know, but they have already clarified, that means saving is nothing but, which is nothing but income minus expenditure. It's fine. So if excess of income over expenditure is saved by Lakshmi and Meenakshi, and ratio of their saving is 4:9. Savings of Lakshmi is to savings of Meenakshi is given as 4:9. And the question is, find the ratio of their income. We're supposed to identify, find the ratio of their income. Not the expenditure, their income. And I know saving is income minus expenditure, or income will be saving plus expenditure. Right? I hope the question is clear. Now carefully observe and see how we can do that. Now, if you look at the first ratio, that is LE is to ME, I mean, Lakshmi's expenditure to Meenakshi's expenditure is given, and they've also given Lakshmi's income to Meenakshi's expenditure. So Meenakshi's expenditure is same here. Since it is same, because I'm talking about the same thing, expenditure of Meenakshi, the value is same. So to make my task easy, or you should try and do, as I mentioned, multiplying ratio with any number will not change the value. So therefore, if I have to solve it, what I'm going to do is nothing but I will just try to make this same, because I'm talking about the same thing. Now, in order to make it same, one of the values is going to be 3 in the first, while the second is going to be 7. To make it same means think of a number which comes in the table of 3 and 7, which is 21. And I know multiplying ratio with any number does not change the value. Therefore, I will multiply first by 7 and this by 3. Now, important is nothing but because Meenakshi's expenditure has to be same. That is why we have to make this 3 and 7 same. And that is why we multiply with 7 and 3. Now, the moment you multiply it, you end up looking at it's going to be 14:21, while it's going to be nothing but 18:21. I've made that same. And the moment I'm able to make it same, what I'm going to do is nothing but just observe it very carefully. I will say that if this is 14x, this will be 21x. And similarly, if this is 18x, this will be 21x, because I know both 21 are same, therefore 21x, and therefore I'm able to see. And the moment you write this, now just observe it very carefully. Can I say it means Lakshmi's expenditure is 14x, Meenakshi's expenditure is 21x, Lakshmi's income is 18x, while Meenakshi's expenditure is 21x? So just observe it carefully. And can I say Lakshmi's income is 18x, while Lakshmi's expenditure is 14x? So I know the income, I know the expenditure, means I know what is the saving, and the saving is equal to 4x. Can I say, because it is given that the ratio of the saving is 4:9 for Lakshmi and Meenakshi, and I know the Lakshmi's saving is equal to 4x, so by default, I will be able to say that Meenakshi's saving is going to be 9x, because the ratio has to be this. And once I'm able to do this, once I'm able to figure it out, so that means from here, I'm able to know Meenakshi's expenditure is 21x and Meenakshi's saving is 9x. If 9x and 21x are saving and expenditure, can I say Meenakshi's income is going to be nothing but 30x? And I know this to be 30x. I know for Lakshmi it is 18x. So 18x, 30x, and question says find their ratio. Question says find their ratio. That means it is 18:30, because x and x will cancel out, which when simplify will come out to be 3:5. That is question and done. So no rocket science. It's just that you can make your task little easy if you learn the art of making the ratio same by multiplying, because I know multiplying ratio with any number does not change the value. There are other ways also you can do that. I'm not saying there's only one way of doing it, but why this method is going to be slightly better? Because here you're doing some part mentally, and then we'll be able to get this. I hope I'm making sense in that. So this is what I need to. Anyone has any doubt whatsoever, please do ask. Correct, Rishita. That's really wonderful. Right. Anyone still has any doubt whatsoever, please do let me know. But I hope it's clear. It's good that people are able to come with an answer. Looking at the question, CAT 2018, and you will see that in CAT 2025 also, in slot 3, there was a question which takes the leaf out of this, where basically there was some marbles which were there, and then in the question, I'll talk about that a little later. But what I wanted to say is nothing but why PYQs are very, very important. Because some of you think that, okay, past year questions are there, so there's no point in doing it. There is a point in doing it, because what happens, nothing but if you have understood these questions, you'll be able to connect this, you'll be able to know that. So if there is some modification, if there is some change, you should be able to pounce on that, because you'll be able to identify that. And that is why we always say solving PYQs are very, very important. Very, very important, because it gives you whether whatever you have understood, are you able to apply that or not? Right? Look at this question. Question number 4, which came in 2018. It says Raju and Lalita originally had marbles in the ratio 4:9. Then Lalita gave some of her marbles to Raju. As a result, the ratio of number of marbles with Raju to that with Lalita becomes 5:6. What fraction of her original number of marble was given by Lalita? So they had a certain ratio of marble is given, and then some of the marbles are given by Lalita to Raju. As a result, the ratio becomes 5:6, and based on that, you are supposed to identify. Now, the moment I come across this question, or you people come across this question, the first thing that will come to your mind is going to be nothing but, first of all, if I say it's going to be nothing but Raju to Lalita, earlier it is 4:9. And then some of the marbles were given. As a result, the ratio becomes this. Now we are supposed to identify, important is just important, very good. Look at this question. Say, what fraction of her order of marbles was given by Lalita? So they're not asking what is the total number of marbles given, but what part, what fraction, right? So one of the very basic way, but then in general, I've seen when you, or you must also see that if you follow that approach, you'll just maybe got stuck in between. But I'll just tell you what exactly and why people get stuck in that. Because if I say the ratio is 4:9, the first thing which will come to my mind is going to be nothing but, let's take it 4x and 9x. Let's take it 4x and 9x. These are the marbles which were there with Raju and Lalita, R and L. Now, some of the marbles from Lalita was given to Raju. Let's say number of marbles given is A. So once A marbles are given, so what will happen? Nothing but, now important, when you say number of marbles given is equal to A, let's look at what exactly we are supposed to calculate also. What fraction of her original number of marble was given by Lalita to Raju? So Lalita has given A out of 9x. So this is what I'm supposed to calculate. So this is important. The moment I say what fraction is given, so A is given out of 9x. So I am supposed to calculate what is A upon 9x. I'm not supposed to calculate their individual values, but just what is A upon 9x. Now, number of marble is A. Right? Now, if number of marbles given is equal to A, so now Raju will have 4x plus A, while Lalita will have 9x minus A, because A is given. And now, according to the question they've given, the ratio is going to be 5:6. Now, when you say ratio is 5:6 is of Raju to Lalita. So that means 4x plus A upon 9x minus a is equals to 5 upon 6. And the moment you cross multiply, you end up getting 24x plus 6a is equals to 45x minus 5a. Which if I take x to one side and the a to the other side, I end up getting, which implies 11a is equals to 21x. Taking 5a to the left hand side will become 11a, 24 to the right will make it this. Now, most of you which have seen, people get confused now what to do now. Had I not written this, many of you will be thinking, okay, now we've got two variable, one equation, what is to be done? And then more often than not, after spending 2 minutes, maybe 1.5 minutes or 2.5 minutes, you leave the question. No, it's something which is tough, so let's not do it. But let's look at what exactly I'm supposed to calculate. I'm supposed to calculate a upon 9x. Can I say from this a upon x is equals to 21 upon 11? So a upon 9x will be 21 upon 11 into 9, which is 21 upon 99, which you, when divide by 3, 3 sevens are 333s are, and therefore ratio will come out with this. So I'm not saying this is the shortest way. I'm just saying that this is one of the way which will come to our mind. But more often than not, we leave in between because we think that there are two variables. We've got only one equation. How to do that? So they're not asking you to calculate the standalone values of a and x. They're only asking what fraction means ratio between a and 9x. Right? I hope the question is clear. This is how we'll be able to solve it. I'm not saying this is the only way, but I'm saying this is one of the way to look at it. Right? Now, what could be the alternate way of looking at it? What could be the alternate way of looking at it? Let me write it, and then if at all anyone has a doubt, I'll just take care of that alternate way. Now, initially, number of marbles with Raju and Lalita, this is another way of looking at it, is 4:9. And after that, giving some marbles, the ratio with Raju and Lalita is 5:6. So some of the marbles were given from Lalita to Raju, right? Now I know when one is given from the number of marbles given from Lalita to Raju, the total number of marbles which remains with these two is same what it was earlier. It's just that earlier it was with Lalita. Now some of the marble was given to Raju now. So, but the total number of marble which they put together have in the beginning is same as now. And if it is same, so what I'm going to do is nothing but I'll just take that advantage because I know 4 plus 9 is 13 and 5 plus 6 is 11. And again, making same. The one we were doing earlier also will make it same, and making it same means multiplying this with 11 and multiplying this with 13 because I know multiplying ratio with any number does not change. And the moment I multiply, I end up getting 44 is to 99. And here it is 65 is to 78. And if you do 44 plus 99, it's got to be nothing but it's going to be 143. Similarly, you do 65 plus 78, that's coming out to be again 143. That means the number of marbles is same. It's just shifting is being done. And now if you carefully observe, Lalita, if Lalita has 99 marble in the beginning, and Raju had 44. So then after giving some marbles to Raju, Lalita is left with 78. And those 78, I mean, when he's left with this, so those marble which were earlier with Lalita, now those extra marble or those some marble were given to Raju. So can we identify how much is given? So earlier Lalita has 99, now Lalita has 78. So how much she has given is nothing but 99 minus 78, which is 21. So she has given 21 marbles to Raju, and the moment 21 is given, Raju will have 65 and she'll be left with 78. But the question says, what fraction is given? Now, when you say what fraction is given, so I can say 21 is given out of what she already had, which was 99. So this fraction is given, which can straight away be written as 7/33. Look at this. So here, I did not take all the pain of doing it because I know the number of marbles would remain same and therefore I'll be able to use it and then do it. I hope I'm making sense in that. So that's the advantage. Correct, Nandini. Very good. So this is how we'll be able to, and very good to see a lot of people are responding. It is great. This is really wonderful. So the point is nothing but I just want all of you to initiate, even if you're not able to reach till the end point at this point of time, but that try is something which is important. So that always puts me in the race. Maybe here right now I'm not able to cross the barrier. Could be a possibility, but slowly and gradually you'll see we will be able to. Absolutely correct. Right? So again, I think the question is clear. Now, I was mentioning that there was a question which came in CAT 2025. So there were two different names and they stated, again, I'm just reading out the question, not the exact number I'm able to recall, but then the question was, the number of marble with two persons is in the ratio 7:17. Now, 108 marbles were given by one person to the other, right? And now the ratio will become this. Now the ratio will become this. And after that, how much more has to be given? So that will become same. So again, initial ratio is given. Then shifting of 108, I know the next ratio is also there. So from that, I will equate them same. I want you to do it on your own. Make them same, equate them same, and then just identify what is the change, and that change is equal to 108, and from that we'll be able to follow it. So the question is not tough, but people were like, "Oh, what is this? How can we do this kind of a question? They have not given anything in this, and this is going to be something which is a kind of a speed breaker." So this time in CAT 25, we know that questions are given where they've not directly asked a formula based question, but first of all you need to understand the data, what is given, then you need to, so it's more of an application based, I would say, statement understanding based, which is, so therefore make all, that's what I always say, PYQs are the best source to help you better in understanding and to gauge your performance also. What have you learned? Are you able to apply that or not? Right? Okay, next, moving on the next question, CAT 22. Right. So we'll take another five more minutes and we'll be able to. Now, this question, CAT 22, slot 2. Right. I'll talk about one thing about this question also later. It says, in an election, there were 4 candidates and 80% of the registered voters casted their votes. One of the candidates received 30% of the casted vote, while the other 3 candidates received remaining casted votes in the ratio 1:2:3. If the winner of the election received 2512 votes more than the candidate with the second highest vote, then the number of registered voters was. Number of registered voter was. Right? Okay. I hope the question is clear. There were 4 candidates. People who have registered, only 80% casted their vote. So 20% did not, which is not right. But then obviously we have to understand, look at this question. Now, out of those 80% that's been casted, so 30% of the casted votes were given, or it was given to one of the person, while the other 3 got in the ratio 1:2:3. And that difference between the highest and the second highest, they've given, and based on that, I'm supposed to identify how many registered voters was there. Right? Now, please look at this. One way to look at this question will be, right, which is a basic way, because initially they're talking in terms of percentage only. So can I say, if I assume total voters are 100x, let's assume that, right, or 100% or 100x. The reason I assume 100x, so that I don't have to deal in fraction, or I need to keep myself away from that. So these are the total registered voters are there, right? So now number of people who casted their vote. So voters who casted is equal to 80x, right? Now, out of these 80x, 30% is given to one of the candidate. So that means out of this, 30% of 80x is given. Therefore, can I say 10% of 80x is going to be 8x, therefore 30% will be 24x. We all know that. Therefore, 24x is given to one of the candidate. And the remaining 56x is divided in the ratio 1:2:3. That's the other three people, other three candidates who are there, they got the votes in the ratio this. And now they've mentioned that difference between the highest and the second highest. So can I say, if you have to just carefully observe, out of this 1, 2, 3, the third person has got 3/6 of the total, which is equals to nothing but 28x. Similarly, the other will get 2/3 of that 56x, which is coming out to be nothing but 2/6, so not 2/3, 2/6, basically 2/6 of this, which is 1/3 of 56x, which is coming out to be 18.66x. So now you don't have to do that, just observe it, because they said the difference, this 2512, is between the candidate with the second highest and the winner. So I know if this is 28x, this value less than 28, this will certainly be less than that. So who's the winner? I can say that this person is the winner. And who's the second highest person who has got the second highest vote? It's got this. Just observe it. You don't have to. Now from here, I can say one of them has got 28x, who's the topper, who's the winner, while the second highest person has got 24x. And their gap, 4x, is given as 2512. If 4x is given as 2512, so x will be 2512 upon 4, which is coming out to be nothing but 4 6 are 24, 4 2s are 8, 4 8s are 32. This is the value of x. Question says, how many registered voters, total voters are there, which is equal to 100x, which is 62800, and hence my answer. Please look at this. Correct, Karthik? Anyone can identify a problem in this question? Anyone? Or what could be the alternate way of looking at it? Anyone who can talk about doubt in this question, problem in this question? Yes? Okay, look at this. Look at this. Now, with this, if you calculate, because these are the number of votes which people have got, if you calculate how much this person 1/6 of 20 of 56x got, by putting this value x, you will get a value in fraction, which is not possible. Which is not possible. But then, whatever they are asking, I completely agree to this. This is doable. This is possible. We are able to calculate it. But if I ask you, what is the number of votes which are received by this person and this person, you'll get that value in decimal, which is not possible. I hope I'm making sense in that. Because the moment I look at this question, what my general approach is going to be, let me try and do it. What I generally say is nothing but, first of all, I'm able to know how many voters are there they're asking, and I know 80% casted their vote. And I by default assume, which you also have to, that the number of people cannot be in fraction. So if 80% casted their vote, so my total number of people who have casted the vote, if I have to calculate, or number of people who are total registered voters, so registered voters has to be such that 80% of that will be a integral value. And when you say 80%, it's 80 by 100 or 4/5 of that value. And 4/5 that value means total number of registered voter has to be a multiple of 5. Because I know only 4/5 have opted for that. So therefore, When I say 4 by 5, so option number 3 and option number 4 outrightly are the choices which can never be my answer. Because if I'm looking out for how many registered voter are there, so I know since 80% casted, so those registered has to be such that 80% that should be an integral value. Because they've never, nowhere they've mentioned that closest possible option or closest value, approximate value. Hence, I know it's got to be this. So option number 3 and 4 can never be my answer. I hope it's clear. Now, just look at this. Whatever is the total registered voter, observe it. 80% casted their vote. So therefore, these are the number of people who have casted. Out of those, 30% is given to one other person. They've already mentioned it. So therefore, can I say remaining 3 persons will get 70% of that? Am I right in that or not? The remaining 3 persons will get 70% of the casted vote because 30% of the casted vote will be given to one other person. So these are the votes which are given to the other 3 person other than the one who has got 30% of that. And these votes are given in the ratio 1:2:3. So when you say 1:2:3, so can I say one person will get 1/6 of that, second person will get 2/6 or 1/3 of that, and third person will get 3/6 or 1/2 of that? Now, who's getting 1/6 or 1/3 of that? The first and the second person. So therefore, can I say this number should be a multiple of 3? Because I know number of voters has to be integral value. So therefore, when you say 1/6 or 2/6, that is 1/3 of a number, these two values should be integral 1. So I know since 80 and 70 is not a multiple of 3, so R has to be a multiple of 3. And then what I just look at it, I identified whether any of the options are multiple of 3 or not. I found no one. So I was flummoxed. Because the moment you are able to identify if there is only one number is a multiple of 3, you would have said, "Ye answer hona hai. This has to be my answer." I hope I'm making sense in that. Right? So that's all. But then what they're asking, that is something which we can calculate, but we cannot do this. Right, RM? That's what I'm trying to say. Though fundamentally, this is a problem with this question because every person has to be an integer. You cannot say 3.5% are going. No. So I hope I'm making sense in that. So logically speaking, I mean, though the answer for the given question will be this, but this will give me two set of people who have got the number of votes. They are getting a vote in fraction. मतलब आधे मुझे मिल गए, आधे तुम्हें मिल गए. No. So that's the problem. I hope I'm making sense in that. So this was the thing which is there. Right? Okay. So that's the point which I wanted to make. I mean, but then what we were asking, what they asked, we are able to do that. That's how we'll be able to do this. Right? Last question for today. Last question for today, we'll be doing it. Again, the question is not tough. As I mentioned, my aim is not to give you and show you the question which are very, very bhayanak, very scary question, or I want to give you magic. No, I don't want that because purpose out here is going to be nothing but to give you, to make you understand the question so that you'll be able to know this is how the question will come and this is your approach should be. Right? Look at this question. 2019. In an examination, Rama's score was 1/12 of the sum of the score of Mohan and Anjali. 1/12. So whatever Mohan and Anjali put together have got, Rama has got this. After a review, the score of each of them increased by 6. The revised score were in the ratio 11:10:3. Then the Anjali score exceeded Rama's score by how much? Right? So paucity of time, I may not be able to give you too much of time. I'll be doing it. Look at the question they've stated. Initially, they mentioned that Rama's score is nothing but 1/12 of the sum of the score of this. So that means the ratio of the Rama score to the Mohan and Anjali Rama score. So if the initials are different, I am least bothered about whether it is Rama or Ram Avatar or Ramesh or Rajesh. It's going to be, and this is given as 1/12 initially. Now they mentioned that after review, the score of each of them increased by 6. The revised score for Anjali, Mohan, and Rama are this. Now, when you say revised score, that means after there is an increment of 6 in that, in each of the score. And now the question says, then the Anjali score exceeded Ram's score by. Since every score is increased by 6, so whatever gap was there earlier, now the gap will remain same. Gap will not change. Gap will not change. Right? First of all, I can straight away say this. Now, just observe it. Let's say now, after that increment, the ratio is given. So I'll assume that it is going to be 11x, 10x, and 3x. And once I'm able to know 11x, 10x, and 3x, are there present scores after it has increased by 6 in each? So before increase, can I say it will be 11x minus 6, this will be 10x minus 6, and this will be 3x minus 6? Simple answer, because 6 increased. So, and this is earlier, before that review. And they've already mentioned before the review, initially the ratio is given that this. That means, according to the question they've given, 3x minus 6 upon summation of these two, that is 11x minus 6 plus 10x minus 6, which is 3x minus 6 upon 21x minus 12. The ratio is given as 1 by 12. And when you cross multiply, we end up getting 36x minus 72 is equals to 21x minus 12. You solve this, it will be 15x equal to 60, which implies x equal to 4. And when you say x equal to 4, so their scores are 11x and 3x. So the difference between these two is 8x. And by putting x equal to 4, I got to know it's going to be 32. Please check this. So again, no rocket science, just a very basic thing which is there. But then I've seen a lot of people are not even able to do it because they just try to think too fast. They just try to pick up a pen the moment they read the question. So therefore, put some time, look at the question, and then just solve that. That should be the name of the game. I hope it's clear, right? So this is what we are supposed to do. So it's a sincere advice to everyone. PYQs are the most important. So, and it's not about taking that I've done this, done this. Even if you did do less, but ensure that conceptual clarity has to be there. It has to be followed by doing the solving the question of the class exercise, practice exercise, and also solving the PYQs. Because then you'll be able to see and gauge your performance whether you're on track or not. Right? Okay. So that is from mine, guys. Thank you so much for being there. We'll be meeting again for the next session. Till then, bye-bye. Good night. Thank you. Thanks, Sadan.